The city sleeps beneath a cold moonlight. Inside a penthouse, silence breaks. A famous journalist lies lifeless. Keys clicked, drinks taken, cameras watched. Between 1 and 2, secrets slipped in shadows. Who came? Who left? And why? Step inside this final room with me. Together, we will uncover the truth.
Hi, welcome to this crime case. Let's solve this mystery together. We have a locked room, a suspicious death, and 3 possible suspects. Our job is to use the data to find out who entered the suite between 1 and 1:45 in the morning, and how they did it. First, we need to gather all the evidence. We'll look at 3 datasets: keycard logs, minibar access, and elevator camera data. Each one could hold a clue about who was in the suite and when. Let's load them in. First things first, let's bring in our main tool for the investigation, Pandas. Now I'm loading up the keycard underline logs. This file holds a record of every time someone used their keycard. Think of it as our digital fingerprint trail through the hotel. Let's see who was coming and going on the night of the crime. Next, I'm pulling in the minibar underline access records. This will show us who opened the minibar in each room. Maybe someone grabbed a drink to calm their nerves, or perhaps they were up to something more sinister. And finally, let's load the elevator underline cameras footage. These logs will tell us who was riding the elevators and when. Perfect for piecing together everyone's movements during the critical hours. Now, let's take a quick look at each dataset. This helps us understand what information we have and how it might help us solve the case. Let's start by printing out a headline, Keycard Logs. Now, I'm using the display function to show the very top of our keycard logs data. Think of this as glancing at the guest book. We're about to see who's been coming and going and when. Let's shine a spotlight on the minibar. I'm printing a header so we know we're about to dig into the minibar access records. Now I'm displaying the first few rows of the minibar underline access data. Think of this as peeking into the guest book for the minibar. Who dipped in and when. Let's see if anything unusual pops up right away. Let's start by pulling up the footage from the elevator cameras. This print statement sets the stage, letting us and anyone watching know exactly what evidence we're about to examine. Now I'm displaying the first few rows of the elevator underline cameras data. This gives us a quick peek at who was coming and going. Maybe we'll spot someone acting out of the ordinary. From these previews, we see that all our logs are time-stamped. Each one uses either a name or a room number. To make our investigation easier, let's make sure all the time columns are in the right format. This way, we can filter the evidence accurately. First things first, we need to work with time, so I'm importing date time. This will help us pin down exactly when each event happened. Timing is everything in a crime scene. Here, I'm writing a function called parse underline time. Think of it as our digital magnifying glass. It'll take a column of times in our data and convert them into a format Python understands. That way, we can compare alibis down to the minute. Now I'm running parse underline time on the keycard underline logs, focusing on the access underline time column. This lets us see exactly when each keycard was used, who entered, and when. Every second counts. Next up, I'm doing the same for the minibar underline access records. By parsing those access underline times, we'll know if anyone raided the minibar at a suspicious hour. Sometimes the smallest detail cracks the case. Finally, I'm parsing the time column in the elevator underline cameras footage. This will let us line up who was in the elevator and when. Let's see if anyone's story doesn't add up. Now, let's answer our first big question. Who used a keycard to enter room 1201 between 1 and 1:45 in the morning? This could reveal who had access to the suite during the crucial window. First things first, I'm importing the time module from Python's datetime library. This will let us work with the specific times, which is crucial when we're piecing together the suspect's movements. Let's set the scene. Here, I'm defining the time window, the exact minutes we think the crime went down. We need to be precise if we're going to catch our culprit. I'm setting the start time to 1 o'clock in the morning. That's when things started to get interesting in room 1201. And here, I'm marking the end of our window, 1:45 a.m. So we're focusing on a tight 45-minute span when the key event happened. Now let's narrow our focus. I'm about to filter the keycard logs so we only see entries that happened during our suspicious time window. Here's where the detective work gets real. I'm creating a new variable called keycard underline window. It'll hold just the records where someone accessed room 1201, and only if their access time falls between our start and end times. We're zeroing in on the possible suspects. Closing off the filter here, making sure our selection is airtight. Only the logs that fit our criteria make the cut. And finally, let's take a look at keycard underline window. This will show us exactly who was in the room during that crucial 45-minute window. The list of suspects is about to get a lot shorter. Here's what we find. Between 1 and 1:45, Victor and Elena both used a keycard to enter the suite. Maya's name does not appear in this window, but is this the whole story? Let's check the elevator cameras for more clues. Next, let's see who actually arrived on the 12th floor during the same time window. The elevator cameras might confirm or challenge what we saw in the keycard logs. This is where things get interesting. Let's zero in on the elevator footage. Here, I'm creating a variable called elevator underline window. It's going to hold just the camera records from the 12th floor between our start and end times. We're narrowing the timeline, looking for any movement right when the crime went down. Now let's take a look at what we've got in elevator underline window. This will show us every moment the elevator camera caught on that floor during our window of interest. Maybe we'll spot someone who shouldn't be there. The elevator footage confirms it. Victor and Elena both arrived on the 12th floor just before their keycard entries. Their movements line up almost perfectly. But what about the minibar? Could it reveal more about what happened inside the suite? Now let's check if anyone accessed the minibar in Clara's suite during this time. Sometimes small details like this can break a case wide open. Let's zero in on the minibar access records. Here I'm creating a new variable called minibar underline window. I'm filtering for entries where the room number is 1201 and the access time falls between our start and end timestamps. Basically, we're narrowing down the data to see exactly who opened the minibar in room 1201 during our window of interest. Now let's take a look at what we found. By typing minibar underline window, we're pulling up all those filtered records. This is where we might spot our first real clue. Who was sneaking around the minibar at just the right moment? Here's what we find. The minibar was accessed twice. Champagne at 1:12 and chocolate at 1:42. These times are just after Victor and Elena entered the suite. Let's put all these events together on a timeline to see the full picture. First things first, let's bring in our detective's toolkit. I'm importing Matplotlib for plotting timelines and date time to help us crack those tricky timestamps. Every minute could be a clue. Here's a quick note for ourselves. We need a way to turn times into minutes since midnight. That'll help us line up everyone's movements on the same timeline. So I'm creating a little helper, a lambda function called getUnderlineMinutes. It takes any time and tells us exactly how many minutes past midnight it is. Perfect for syncing up alibis. Let's set up an empty list called events. This is where we'll collect every suspicious move, keycard swipes, elevator rides, minibar raids, all in one place. Now I'm looping through each row in our keycard underline window. For every entry, I'm adding a new event. Who used their keycard and exactly when. This will help us see who had access to the scene. Next, we're doing the same for the elevator underlined window. Every time someone took the elevator, we logged their name, the event, and the minute it happened. Maybe someone was moving between floors at just the wrong time. And here's a twist. For the minibar underlined window, we're tracking what was taken and when, but the person's identity is unknown. Could this be our culprit covering their tracks? Let's pull all these events together into a Pandas data frame called events underline df. Now we've got a full timeline of every move ready to spot patterns and outliers. And here it is, events underline df. This is our master evidence board showing every action every minute. Let's see what secrets it reveals. Now let's plot the timeline. This visual will help us connect the dots between each suspect's movements and the minibar activity. Watch closely for patterns. Let's set the scene. I'm opening up a new figure window, making it nice and wide, 8 by 4 inches, so we can lay out all the evidence clearly. Now I'm looping through each unique person in our events underline df. That's our master list of everyone involved. For each one, I'm pulling out just their activity, then plotting their movements as dots on the timeline. This way we can see exactly when each person was where. Maybe someone's pattern will jump out at us. Let's label the x-axis, that's the bottom of our chart, with minutes after midnight. This helps us pinpoint when things happened down to the minute. Timing is everything in a case like this. I'm adding a title to our plot. Timeline of events 1 hours to 1:45 a.m. This was the critical window, the time when the crime went down. Let's see who was moving around when it mattered most. Next, I'm turning on the legend. This will give us a key matching each color or symbol to a person's name. That way we won't lose track of who's who as we follow the action. Let's switch on the grid. Those lines help us line up the clues, making it easier to spot if someone's story doesn't quite add up. Alright, moment of truth. I'm showing the plot. Now we can see the full timeline of everyone's movements. Let's keep our eyes peeled for anything suspicious. Now for the big reveal, Maya is ruled out. She wasn't there during the key window. Victor arrived and entered first, matching the champagne minibar access. Elena followed, with her entry matching the chocolate minibar access. But only Elena was seen in the suite just before it was locked from the inside. That makes Elena our prime suspect. Victor's timing is close, so he may know more than he says. Case closed, for now.